Hello everyone and welcome back to round 9 of the RF1 Racing League season for the Xbox divisions. We are headed off to the mountains of Belgium to the historic circuit Spa-Francorchamps for round 9 here in this Xbox League season. Starting off the final third of the season, and your championship leader right now is Fast 6 driver in the Ferrari, but he's very closely followed by MJ Povey, who sits only 7 points back in second position. Gallimooms rounds out the top 3, the third driver to be over the 100-point mark for the season, 36 points back of MJ Povey. In P4, we have Quimbulus on 76 points of his own, so 24 points behind that top 3 position, and Voki rounds out the top 5, only 9 points back of Quimbulus so far. Wall Street Gaybear has had a name change in the league. Here he is, the Mercedes you see sitting now 16th on that timing sheet. Palantir is how we'll be referring to him from now on, and he is P6 in the championship on even 50 points. Racer 04 is the first of the Renaults on 44 points, only 6 points back of Palantir there, and he is followed closely by his teammate who's going to be missing from today's race, Onslaught, the other Renault driver, who is an 8 further points back of Racer 04. So Racer 04 going to have an opportunity to grow a little bit of that lead in the championship over his teammate Chuck SRQ in the Red Bull is on 20 points, tied with MD the First, who is not taking part this week, and I believe for the remainder of the season, so he will stay on that 20 points in the top 10. Habs fan Nick, though, only 2 points outside of the top 10 in the championship in that Alfa Romeo, so plenty of opportunity for him to make a move up. But we also have returning to the grid for the second week in a row here, we have the defending champion of Season 1, QX Nemesis, this time driving the Honda-powered Alpha Tauri there, and he has 12 points so far in this season, so he is just 6 points back of Habs fan Nick and looking to have another good result to launch himself further and further up the table. Definitely has the pace to do it, but right now he sits tied with the racing point of the Kel 89, also on 12 points so far this season. Awakens has also returned to the grid after starting out the season and missing the major middle portion of it. He has returned in the McLaren seat, and he is sitting on 10 points so far this season, tied with the other Ferrari driver of El Gloverino, who is also on 10 points there. We have Alejandro Hayes, only 1 further point back of El Gloverino, and he is 6 points ahead of Stania, who has a 1 point advantage over AWD Turbo Guy in the Haas. Sambeam and Silva have yet to score points for the 19th and 20th positions in our championship, but it looks like cars are finally getting out on track and starting their first flying laps. We're on board with Quimbulus, who looks to be in a bit of a racing point sandwich there. You see the 2 pink dots on either side of him as he comes into the Lake Home chicane for the first time. A much longer lap that we'll see this time than what we had at Zandvoort last weekend. So look for those lap times to be coming down over the course of this session. It's definitely a track you're going to kind of get a feel for as you go around, so we should see those lap times tumble and tumble, especially when it gets to that last 5 minutes when track evolution really takes place as he flicks into the double left-hander of Pouan at the bottom of the hill there. We'll see how he does through the last couple of chicanes heading towards Stavilo and see what his sector split is going to be. It looks like he will be the first one to set a lap time in this qualifying session, making sure not to run wide through Stavilo there, taking as much of the track as he possibly can without invalidating. There's plenty of opportunities to invalidate lap times around Spa here. You can run just a little bit wide onto several of the exit curbings, and if you're not careful, you can take a little bit too much on the apex and run off the inside there, but through Blanchemont and now into the heavy braking zone of the bus stop chicane, getting the car slowed down for that long right and left-hander, very bumpy on track here. So getting the power down smoothly is crucial. And Quimbulus first across the line, a 143.012, so just outside of the 42-second mark. But we have Fast 6 driver who, championship leader and always contending for pole positions. He will be the early pace setter as he crosses the line of 42.275, so almost 8 tenths further along than what Quimbulus had in his first lap. Gallimooms sets a lap time just about a 10th back of Quimbulus there, so running in the 43s as well. We'll keep an eye out as other cars start to cross the start-finish line. Looks like we've got one of the Mercedes moving slowly, although it looks like he's making a move into the pit lane. But here we are with MJ Povey as he's coming in to the bus stop chicane area. QX Nemesis puts himself second on the timing sheet there. We'll see what Povey can do, who has also been challenging for those pole positions. And he does put himself provisionally on pole, a 42.17 just after Habs fan Nick crossed the line in P6, about a second off of Gallimum's time there, so plenty of opportunity for him to improve so far. You see that red track map real quick for Sam Beam. He has an invalidated lap time, but Voki does have a live lap going, and he's going to come across the line, getting the power down out of the bus stop chicane, and he crosses a 142.834, puts him provisionally onto the second row. But right now, only less than a tenth separating the top 2 times in this first qualifying session here. Still 12 and a half minutes left to go in this one short qualifying session, so we should be able to see drivers getting another 2 runs or so in. Very long outlaps. We're not going to be able to see people get the 4 runs in like we saw at Zandvoort with those short out and in laps, but with the out and in laps taking almost 2 minutes to get all the way around the track, you're definitely not going to be super quick. As you can see, Quimbil's coming into the pit lane after completing his in lap there, but Racer 04 now across the line, puts himself provisionally P7, goes 143.6 across the line there. AWD Turbo guy puts up a time that puts him provisionally 9th, about another 7/10ths back of Habs Nick. Kel89 first of the racing points to set a lap time, goes 3 seconds off the pace, so goes into the 145s there. And Alejandro Hayes crossing the line just behind his teammate at 145.283. As the times start coming in quick and furious, we got Chuck SRQ in the Red Bull there. A little bit of wheel spin on the exit of the bus stop chicane there, but good enough to put himself provisionally inside the top 10 so far. Sam Beam, Awakens, Stanya, Gloverino, and Palantir are the only ones yet to set a lap time, as El Gloverino is going by the racing point while he's on a flying lap there, and that racing point is on an in-lap of his own, so maybe he was able to perhaps catch a little bit of slipstream, or maybe the dirty air coming up Eau Rouge and Radion might have had a negative effect on El Gloverino's lap time, but here he's pitching it through Lacombe, through Malmedis, and now down to Bruxelles or Rivage. So many different names available for a lot of these corners here at Spa. It seems to change every time it's broadcast. He cuts through No Name and now down the hill he goes. So we'll see what kind of lap times the other Ferrari driver can put up. Ferrari sitting second in the Constructors' Championship behind Williams. But still Gloverino way off the inside of the track there. Surprising not to see his track map give him an invalidation. Interestingly enough, El Gloverino out on that medium compound of tire as well, but going across that run across the grass is definitely not going to help his lap time out there. But El Gloverino really needing to contribute some points to the team in order to help Fast 6 driver out challenge, not only for that driver's title, but also to challenge for that constructor's title. And really it's come down to the performance of the second cars in that Constructors' Championship battle, with MJ Povey and Fast 6 driver trading wins and being only a few points apart. It really comes down to the difference between what Quimulus and El Gloverino have been able to give to the team points-wise, and that's what gives Williams about a 60-point advantage in the Constructors' Championship. But with 4 races left to go in the season, still plenty of time for Ferrari to make up that 60-point gap, as El Gloverino abandoned that lap and dived into the pit lanes to get on a different set of tires, maybe opting not to utilize those mediums to set a lap time. Here are with Awakens in that back in the league and back in that McLaren seat after starting the year in the Red Bull. While the divisions were separated, he took a bit of a hiatus away from the league and has rejoined over the last couple of weeks, and that's Sam Beam into the wall there at No Name, so that is unfortunate for him. He is out of this session with no lap time set so far, so he will be starting towards the back of the grid as Awakens is working his way through the traffic coming down at the final sector here. But looks to have not scrubbed too much speed off, dodging those cars. They got offline pretty decently, so we'll see how he is across that middle sector split. A 14.228, so should be on pace to be around the 42-second mark in 1 minute 42 seconds for his lap time. We'll see how he navigates this final sector. The quick left-hander of Blanchimont flat out in these high downforce F1 cars, and then running very late on the brakes into the bus stop chicane. Across the line he goes, 42.551, puts him provisionally ahead of Voki and onto that second row of the grid, P3 overall. But as it stands with about half the session still remaining, MJ Povey provisionally on pole position, but Fast 6 driver just a 10th behind. Awakens, Voki, QX Nemesis, Quimulus, Gallimums, Racer 04, and Habs Fan Nick and Chuck SRQ rounding out the top 10, although Looks like Chuck has just been pushed down as Stanier has put in a lap time that has put him now P9 overall, only 1.5 seconds off of the pole position pace thus far. This Fast 6 driver gets ready to head down to Stavelo and to the Sector 2 split. We'll see how he's doing on improving on his lap time. And his massive improvements, almost over a half second of improvement. That will put him well clear of MJ Povey for that pole position and decently into the 141 mark. A very quick lap time here around Spa. But El Gloverino is back out on another outlap, and Palantir, the only other car yet to set a lap time that has the opportunity to do so, is still in this session. But here comes Fast 6 driver getting the power down out of the bus stop chicane, opening that DRS and crossing the line at 141.600. Puts him provisionally onto pole position with 7 minutes left to go in the session. So still plenty of time for him to come in one more time, get a new set of tires, and go out for a final run when the track makes that last bit of evolution. Here comes MJ Povey down the back straight and into the final chicane. We'll see if he is able to improve on his lap time enough to jump over Fast 6 driver. Has to improve by over a half second in order to take that pole position away. And he crosses the line, improves by 0.3, but is still going to put him 0.2 shy of that pole position. Still on the front row with his championship challenger there. So we'll see if those times hold up over the final part of the session. We're jumping around to see who's on flying laps right now. Cumulus, Scotty Mooms, Racer 04 all on flying laps thus far. Habs fan Nick crosses the line and goes just ahead of Racer 04, moves himself up a position into P8 provisionally. We should start to see a few of the cars getting out for their final runs in the next minute or so. A couple of cars, most cars still on flying laps or in laps to make their last runs of the session. We'll keep an eye on the timing sheets to see if anybody's made a move, but Racer 04 has gotten it wrong, all coming through the chicane there, and has gotten into the tire barriers. Big wing damage, but lucky for him, no suspension damage. He did not break that front right tire off. So he will be able to limp that car back around to the pits. Should have plenty of time to get that new nose attached and go out for one final run to improve one more time. So very fortunate not to DNF on that particular hit. But you can just see sometimes the curbs will jump out and bite you if you're trying to get on the power a little bit too soon out of the corners. Or keep an eye on the other Red Bull of Chuck SRQ, who was leading the Division 2 championship before it was all folded into one, and has had a bit of a run of struggles in the last couple of races, looking to turn it around and score some good points here today. He is still sitting on 20 points, well within striking distance of Onslaught in the Renault there for P8 in the overall championship. Only 16 points separating the two, and with a good haul of points today, can really cut into that lead overall. But here we have El Gloverino now on the soft compounded tires coming through the final chicane. He is out of that electrical energy, has burned it all up on the lap, so he's going to have a little bit of a struggle getting to the line there, but goes provisionally P9, a 143.4. So a good lap time for him on that soft compound tire. Habs fan Nick, after setting a lap time on his way in, you will see that Kel is about 4 seconds off of his pace, so looks to be on an in-lap of his own. Alejandro Hayes finishing up an out-lap, looking to improve and jump his Racing Point teammate. We'll see how he does through turn 1. Looks to have gone a little bit wide of the apex, some understeer there, but when you're 3.6 seconds off of the pole time, there's plenty of opportunity to improve on the rest of the lap. You don't have to nail the turn 1 in order to move this position up a few spots. He should be able to still put it up a good 1.5 seconds quicker if he has a clean second sector and third sector. So we'll keep an eye out on those lap times as he crosses, and one of the Alfa Romeos pulls through, and he's actually improved by just shy of 1/10 second there through that first sector. So even taking that first turn wide, still was able to improve on his previous best time. So here he comes through Rivage, the long right-hander, very tough to manage that understeer and keep the car turned in and keep the nose pointed where you want it to go instead of running out wide. Now a critical part of the lap to carry minimum speed. Use the downforce. Trust the car is going to flick in and hold on to it, but not run out wide onto that curb. If you get onto that exit curbing in the middle part of that corner, you can really step the back end out. That AstroTurf can really come out and bite you and cause a big spin and a big crash. As we did see some crashes through Poulan in Season 1. We'll see if it tends to be another action zone for stricken cars here in Season 2, but One thing with Spa, it's a very quick circuit, a lot of fast corners, so when you lose the car here, you definitely lose it. So there's always the opportunity for safety cars. So far, it's been all dry running for the drivers here in qualifying, but we can see as the climate here in Belgium can turn on an absolute dime. So we'll see if they have a dry or wet race coming up. But Alejandro Hayes now crossing the start-finish line, improving by about a second, and jumps himself up into lucky number P13, just ahead of AWD Turbo Guy. It looks like the championship leaders are on an outlap of their own right now. A couple of cars have yet to pull their way back out. QX Nemesis, Stanier, and AWD Turbo Guy all still in the pit lanes as the rest of the cars are getting out on track and getting the car heated up. Alejandro Hayes has retired from the session there. You see that pink dot frozen right there at the exit of Radion. Looks like he may have gotten the back end loose coming up over the top of the hill and gotten his car into the barriers and cost him a run, and on an in-lap nonetheless. That said, there wasn't enough time really in the session for him to come all the way back around on his in-lap, get a fresh set of tires for an out-lap to go for one final flying lap. So not a huge loss of opportunity for him, but definitely a hit to the confidence that you like to have. But MJ Povey getting way too much on the power coming through turn 1, and that is going to cost him his shot at his final flying lap and attacking that pole position. El Glavarino goes through, and that is going to really, really hurt him there. He's unfortunately going to be unable to improve from his best lap time, and now here we are with Fast 6 driver who doesn't necessarily need to improve at this stage in order to hold on to that pole position. His main challenger, MJ Povey, having a little bit of a bottle job on the exit of turn 1, a little over-eager on the throttle and spinning up those rear tires. But we'll see if QX Nemesis, who is on an outlap right now, is able to turn in a really good lap time and push himself further up the table. But Fast 6 driver 2/10 down on his previous best lap through that Sector 1 split, so not carrying quite the speed you'd expect for him to need to improve on his lap time there. Coming through now, Roussel. We'll keep an eye out on that timing screen to see if any cars are going to jump around, make changes in their position, as a few cars look to be starting their final flying laps. So Nick just started his last flying lap. Mikel 89 looks to be in the pit lane there. There's a McLaren, I think that is a Stanier there. We have Palantir jumping up to P9. He just crossed the start-finish line. We'll see what he's done. He's been a pretty quick one-lap pace overall in the season. Has had some issues with consistency from time to time, and has gotten himself caught up in incidents, but shown very good raw pace. But here's Fast 6 driver going by Awakens, who is on an in-lap there. Voki has retired from the session, so that will lock him into his lap time that is currently putting him P5. Kundus, you see, pulling into the pit lanes on the side there. Fast 6 driver crosses the start-finish line, goes only 51 hundredths slower than his best lap there, so really put in a good middle and final sector. But the amount of time he lost through Sector 1 has absolutely cost him. But here's QX Nemesis now, one of the last real challengers to the overall pole position at this stage. The checkered flags are waving. Fast 6 driver Povey, Awakens have finished their times. El Glavarino, Racer 04, and Chuck SRQ all finished up. Stanier looks to have lost it on the exit of Pouan there. You can see that McLaren just driving, but he's retired from the session, so looks like he's handed control over to the AI to pull that car off. So this QX Nemesis is getting that lovely revs bug that keeps it bugging out at the top end of the RPM gauge. He's improved by 2.5 tenths so far, but he's going to have to improve by about another half a second in order to challenge for that pole position, and another about quarter second in order to take a spot away from MJ Povey and push him down to row 2 on the grid. So it's going to need to be a mighty run through the bus stop chicane to really make that improvement translate to grid positions. We'll see how he does through the final sector, flicking it right, flicking it left, and getting that DRS open. As he comes across the line, he improves by a tenth and change, but is not enough to improve him over onto the first row of the grid. AWD Turbo Guy coming across the line there, stays with his lap time, and it looks like just about everybody has finished up. Palantir is on an in-lap of his own. He's already completed his flying lap, and I think we had a glimpse of Palantir, and it was the medium tire on his car there, so we will see if he is opting for a little bit of a different strategy choice coming through for this race session here. In the dry, you should see most cars opting for a one-stop strategy, a soft onto hard or soft onto medium, if they're able to stretch that tire stint there. The pit window opening up around lap 7 for the hards and around a lap 9 for the medium tire there. Two-stop strategy, very, very unlikely to pay off for anybody. You don't lose a ton of time in the pit lanes here, but it is enough to where it's not going to be particularly beneficial. Of course, that can all change in an instant if the weather decides to make an appearance. As we saw in the PC division race, there was quite a bit of rain in and out of most of those divisions, so we'll see if Xbox is able to stay dry or if they're going to challenge with those wet conditions as well. As the qualifying session now comes to a close, and here we are on with Gally Moves, who is P4 overall. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the grid order. You've got Fast 6 driver on pole, MJ Povey sharing that front row P2, QX Nemesis and Gally Moves making up row 2, Awakens and Habs fan Nick sharing row 3, Voki and Quimbulus sharing row 4. Palantir inside the top 10 on those medium compounded tires, and El Gloverino. You've got Racer 04, Stanier, and they took away the screen, so I don't know who's left. There we go. Stanier, Chuck, Alejandro Hayes, and we've got AWD Turbo Guy, the Kel 89, and Sam Beam at the back of the order there. So we will see if the cars outside of that top 10 order are going to look to make a different strategy call and go on to a set of mediums or maybe even a set of hard tires to run very long. But it looks like the sun is out here in Belgium, so it looks to be a dry race coming up. Now we'll keep an eye out on the sky if some clouds start to roll in, as cars are on the grid now making their final strategy tire decisions and making their fuel load adjustments. One thing with the fuel load around here, much like Monza, you spend so much of the lap at full throttle. Basically, as soon as you exit turn 1, you're full throttle all the way up the hill, up Eau Rouge, Radion, all the way down the Kemmel Straight into the Lake Combe chicane. So you're full throttle for a good 30 seconds of this minute and 40-second lap at the start there. So plenty of time to utilize those high-rich fuel modes and not a lot of opportunity to save. So instead of underfueling the cars, which a lot of drivers do in order to reduce the tire wear and try and save it in areas where you don't need that extra power, most cars likely going to have to run a little bit of extra fuel in order to not be overtaken so easily on the front straights there. But as Fast 6 leads the field away on the formation lap, it's going to be very important to get the tires up to temperature. With all these long straights, it's very hard to put temperature into the tires via the cornering, so you're going to see a lot of weaving to get these tires up to temperature, especially those rear tires, and it's something we will see if we have any virtual safety cars or safety cars getting those tires back up into the operating window. It's not a particularly harsh track degradation-wise on the tires, so you can stretch them pretty decently, but if you don't have those tires up to temperature, obviously the rears are very important coming up over Eau Rouge and Radion. The rear end of the car gets very unloaded as you transition to the top of that hill. And if the tires aren't heated up to full temperature there, then you can see the back end get very loose on drivers, as you see now. Flipping through the field, soft tires on everybody all the way up until Palantir in P9, who's the only driver inside the top 10 on a different set of tires. And now, as we check out the outside the top 10 group, Racer 04 being the first of those, Stanier both on that medium compound of tire. Chuck SRQ has opted for the same tire compound as the lead pack there. He's on a set of softs, as is Alejandro Hayes. We have AWD Turbo Guy on a set of medium tires. Kel 89 just behind him in the other racing points, sandwiching those that pass, also on the medium compound. And then Sam Beam with the free tire choice on the soft tire compound. So maybe looking to make some moves up through the order and try and make some track position before the first round of, and likely the only round of pit stops to occur. But Fast 6 driver now coming down the back straight, still quite a ways before they get to the pit lane and start-finish straight. Of course, when you're not running at a full race pace, you're doing 140 miles an hour here instead of coming through Blanchimont at nearly 200 miles an hour. So definitely some opportunities. It looks like Fast 6 has picked up the pace and is getting to the grid. A fair bit of gapping between the top 3 and Golly Mooms there in P4. So we will see if that's going to cost them by getting to the grid a little bit too early and sitting on the line. Although it looks like that gap has closed back up. You don't want to be sitting on the line too long. You don't want that temperature to be lost, and you need that extra temperature for that quick grip and that launch. We'll see how Palantir does inside the top 10 on that medium compounded tire at the initial launch of the race here. The odd number positions off the traditional racing line, but taking to the inside line. It's a very short run into turn 1 that may be advantageous for our lead group. And here we are getting loaded onto the grid now in their slots, and we just wait for those red lights to come up as the green flags are being waved. We have 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights up as the revs are built and lights out, and away they go as Fast 6 gets a decent launch, moves left to cover off MJ Povey and that outside line. QX Nemesis looking to the inside. Golly Mooms and Awakens side by side through turn 1 there, and we have a lot of shuffling of cars going on. Some damage, it looks like, coming off as Alejandro Hayes has jumped up a couple of positions there. Fast 6 driver, first car away from the line, he does have MJ Povey all over his gearbox and in a slipstreaming environment down the Kemmel Straight, using that overtake mode, going over 200 miles an hour, but on the brake squeezes MJ Povey to the outside as they head to the LA Combe chicane for the first time and manages to hold that position off. As they come down the hill, you see quite the gaggle of cars. Fast 6 driver Golly Mooms having made a move up into the podium positions ahead of QX Nemesis, Awakens, Habsfan Nick, Quimble, Savoki, Palantir. Stanier moves himself into the points paying positions of the top 10. Racer 04 in P11. But so far, most cars have held position. Chuck SRQ has dropped a spot or so, as AWD Turbo Guy, the Kel, and Alejandro Hayes making good moves for that Racing Point team, but Sam Beam still off the back of the field. Reno looks to have lost a bit of ground, dropping to the back of the field there with those yellow flags coming out of the exit of pool on there, but it looks like he's gotten that car going once again. No safety cars, and there's still green flag racing on lap 1 here, but MJ Povey and Fast 6 driver now starting to pull away from the rest of the pack. Golly Mooms 1.2 seconds back off of that group, although he has Nemesis and Awakens for very close company heading down to the bus stop chicane for the first time. We'll see if either of those drivers has a look. Nemesis looking inside, outside, on the inside for the first part, but that switches back, gives Golly the advantage back to the inside, and Awakens using that doorway to dive up the inside and make his way past QX Nemesis. And now we'll see if he's going to go around the outside, 3 wide into turn 1. Nemesis under braking goes a little bit too deep, and that's going to cost him on the exit. He has made his way back past Awakens, but that has taken away that line that Awakens could use to get past Golly Mooms in the Red Bull there. A little bit of ghosting going on as there's some connection discrepancies that the game is waiting to sort out between the two. But it looks like everybody is racing in single file once again. And QX Nemesis, the big winner of that entire exchange, coming all the way back up into P3 and jumping past Golly Mooms there. Quiggles up into P6 with Habsfan Nick behind it. Awakens really nudging Golly Mooms on, trying to make his way in, and that's allowing Quimulus to catch right up to that pack, and now it's a big train from P4 all the way down as Golly Mooms has lost 1.6 seconds to QX Nemesis there already, so definitely struggling to keep up with that early pace. As MJ Povey still staying within that 1 second mark of Fast 6 driver out front. But Golly Mooms has gone wide through Puan. That's going to open the door for Awakens to go through, and now Quimulus looking to the outside, not able to make a move stick there, and he's going to slot right back in behind the Red Bull and try and set him up for another move a little later on. At the end of this lap, start of the next lap, we will have that DRS get enabled, so we'll be able to see how cars behave down that Kemmel Straight with that extra bit of drag reduction to make some moves possible. Golly Mooms now outside of the DRS range of Awakens in front of him. That's going to put him at big risk to the Williams of Quimulus behind, who is right on the gearbox there and should have DRS when they come down the Kemmel Straight the next time. Fast 6 driver setting the early fastest lap of the race of 45.9. We've got the Kelly 9 well off the back of the grid there. Looks to have had a couple of spins and some yellow flags, and now here we are with MJ Povey coming over the top of the hill here, still within that 1 second mark and trying to open that DRS, but here we'll jump to the other Williams of Quimulus making his way past Gully moves in the straight line there, down the Kemmel Straight, hard braking into Lake Home. A little bit of a lockup, a little bit of dust there. But you see that job is done for him, and he's up now into P5, looking ahead to QX, and his Palantir has gone up one position since the start of the race on that set of medium compound tires. He is sandwiched between the two Alfa Romeos. We'll keep an eye out on Palantir's progress over the course of this opening stint. Once the tires get to about lap 6 or 7 is when those soft tires will start to lose some of that performance advantage as they get close to their pit window. So we'll see if Palantir is going to have good pace on those mediums to make some on-track overtakes before those soft tire runners start to come into the pit lane. But Gully Moves is falling 1.2 seconds off of Cumulus, who is just getting close to the 1 second mark. Now Habs van Nick, though, inside a half a second of Gully Moves. Got yellow flags in Sector 2, in Sector 3, and that is Stanier out of this session there. And we have a virtual safety car to remove that car from track. So the cars are all neutralized, having to slow down to 40% of normal lap time there. And that is going to give Awakens and Habs van Nick a little bit of unhappiness as they were setting up some moves with the DRS coming down the next time. Fast 6 driver has opened up a bit of a gap to MJ Povey. There is outside that 1 second. We'll see how it is when it actually goes green. It looks like that car is off track, so we should see that green flag waving any second now, and there it goes. The track is green, and we are racing once again. Awakens gets a great launch off the VSC restart. Only 3/10 now back of QX. Nemesis has opened up a fair gap to Quindulus, who now has Voki for company behind his Nemesis, weaving to try and find some ability to break the slipstream, but Awakens going to the outside. Nemesis defensive onto the inside of Lake Home there, and is able to shut the door and keep Awakens from getting through this time. Though he runs a little bit wide on the exit of Maladus there, and that is going to be a track limits warning for him. So with the track limits that we talked about in qualifying being the invalidations in that situation, picking up those track limits penalties might be something that comes to decide positions come the end of this race. So keeping clean is a good way to avoid some of that. But onto the apex curbing is Awakens, and he's gone around, skirts across track there, and just avoided by Gully Moves, Habs van Nick, and Palantir. And after really challenging for that podium position, that little mistake getting on the inside curbing lifts up the rear of the car there, has cost Awakens big, dropping all the way down to P10. Luckily able to avoid any kind of collisions as they come through that very quick set of left-handers, but definitely going to cost him on-track position. He is within a second of Chuck SRQ though, so looking to make his way back up the field now. Definitely took some extra life out of those soft compound tires. We've got the train with Quimulus, Gully Moves, Habs van Nick, Palantir, and Voki all in a big line here, utilizing that DRS to try and close up. Gully Moves inside of that 1 second of Quimulus now. We'll see that would have been him under attack from Habs van Nick, but having that extra bit of help from the DRS might be able to just help him hold that position. He might be a little bit too far back to make an attack on Quimulus into Lake Home, but it'll be enough to at least help him with the cars that are following behind him. As Voki is slotting in behind Palantir, you see him opening that DRS, increasing that speed, but you see not able to really close up onto that group. Habs van Nick in a similar spot, caught in that DRS train, unable to make really any headway going forward. QX is picking up a 3-second penalty. Just those track limits we were talking about. He's gone wide once again, and that is going to cost him 3 seconds at the end of the race here. So Quimulus has 2.5 seconds to close up to get into the podium positions, as his teammate is 1.5 seconds off of Fast 6 driver for the lead of this race, and really what is coming down to a very tight championship battle. Another thing to keep an eye out for as this race starts to come to an end is the fastest lap point, with the top two in the championship right now being separated by only 7 points. Those fastest lap points may come in and make a difference at the very end of the season. You see right now, Fast 6 driver carrying that fastest lap point. First driver into the 45-second mark on track today. Now Palantir on that medium compounded tire, as we've spoken a few times about, looking to close up on Habs van Nick and start to make a move. Might be a situation where those soft tires are starting to lose a little bit of their adhesion, and the extra durability of those medium tires might be starting to come around into its own, but while he's still stuck in this DRS train, it's going to be very hard to affect the move on the cars ahead and have all that slipstream and DRS help, not allowing that overspeed down into the Lecombe chicane. But here comes Awakens down the hill towards Eau Rouge Radion, very close to the gearbox of Chuck SRQ, fighting through the dirty air up the hill, able to keep his foot in, but now with that DRS open, should be able to make that move quite easily around the outside using that overspeed. Chuck, though, fighting back, heading to the braking zone, but then slotting into P9 is Awakens as Chuck yields that position, not opting to go multiple cars wide into Lecombe. But Gali has just dropped outside of that 1 second from Quimbulas again. It seems to be yo-yoing right at the border of that DRS range, and he's going to want to keep that DRS, otherwise he will start to be under siege from Habsvan Nick, Palantir, and Voki all behind him. Awakens, having made that move past Chuck, now has 3 seconds of clear air to try and chase back down to this pack that he was battling with earlier on in order to get himself back into the strong point-paying positions. The Awakens you see at the bottom of the screen, they're picking up a 3-second penalties, also picking up track limits warnings here and there throughout the course, so keeping an eye out on those as it continues to develop. Perhaps Van Nick closing right up to Gali Moons as they head down into the bus stop chicane. It's going to be all about the traction on the exit. Racer 4 picking up a 3-second penalty, but that DRS help available to him. Gali closing up 8/10 of a second now back at Quimbulas, so it should be that he has that DRS help one more time as they come down the hill, although it looks like Quimbulas was a little quicker through turn 1. You see that interval just at the 1 second mark. Doesn't look like Gali's going to have it down that straight, so keep an eye out for Habsvan Nick, who is lurking behind with the DRS, now trying to make a move on the Red Bull ahead of him. You see that interval coming down 3/10, nearly 2/10. Nick pulling a little bit to the inside, having a look, but not able to make a move or dive in. But we got yellow flag. Alejandro Hayes is out at the top of Eau Rouge Radion, the same place he went out in qualifying, and a full safety car has been called. A full safety car here on lap 7, so this is just getting inside the pit window of the soft tire runners, so a cheap pit stop about to be available to all of those soft tire drivers. Now the option here is whether they want to go onto that hard tire compound or onto the mediums. The mediums should be quicker at the outset, but it's very early in the pit window to go onto the mediums, so they may be sacrificing a little bit of performance at the tail end of the race. You see Fast 6 driver slowing way down to stay inside of his required delta to not go too fast all the way back around to the pit lane as the safety car waits to pick up the leaders. But we'll see who of the lead group is going to opt to dive into the pit lanes and who is going to stay out. Another thing is, if you go onto the medium tire, it'll be a little easier to get those up to temperature and get the heat into them, so you'll have a little bit better grip on the restarts as well compared to the hard tire. But Fast 6 is into the pit lane, and Jacoby is into the pits, as is QX Nemesis. He is coming in for his first stop. Quimbulas diving into the pit lane as well. We'll have to keep an eye out for his stop, as he looks to be the only one double stacking with a teammate aside from him and Habsvan and Voki combining. So hopefully there's enough time for those drivers to not lose out on positions. But Galimun's in the pit lane. Habsvan Nick, Palantir, Voki, Awakens, and Chuck all into the pit lane. Racer 04 has moved. Here's Quimbulas, a little bit of a hesitation from the pit crew as they're finishing their animation cycles, and it looks like he's going to get out still ahead of Galimun's. Now as we see where he's going to slot in relation to AWD Turbo Guy, who stayed out. And it looks like AWD Turbo Guy is going to find himself right in between the battle from Quimbulas and Galimun's there. So the cars that stayed out, Racer 04, AWD Turbo Guy, and Sam Beam all staying out. Racer 04 and AWD staying out on the medium compound that they started with. Otherwise, we've only got the soft tire compounds staying on for Sam Beam, although it looks like he has now chosen to come into the pit lanes, as has Overino. So new tires for both of them coming on as well. So looking down the field, it looks like Fast 6 driver and MJ Povey have opted for that medium compounded tire. Obviously, Racer 04 still on a set of mediums that he started the race on. parts of the cars behind. Looks like QX Nemesis might, for a moment, have that white wall set of hard compound tires on, so differing strategies for the cars at the front of the grid so far. The safety car leads the field around, plenty of time still out there for the other cars to, off the back of the field, to get regrouped up, although it looks like we'll probably have at least one more lap under safety car conditions. Usually the safety car is going to turn off its lights as it heads through Stabilo if it's coming in. Once you get through this right-hander and the lights are still on as it sets up for the next, typically is going to say that it's staying out for another lap, which it is. So you'll have at least one more lap under these safety car conditions, but now the strategy of Palantir has been a little bit neutralized. We'll see what tires he grabbed coming in, as you can see those yellow walls on the top 3 cars now. Racer 04, the only one on the used set, getting those positions by staying out, but you see those white-walled hard compound tires for Nemesis and Quimulus there, so looking to trust the extra bit of durability on those tires. A2B Turbo Guy on his starting set of mediums, but here's the interesting one. Gallimum's also on that medium compounded tire, so trying to chase down Quimulus, has the faster tire at the moment. Habs fan Nick came in and put on a set of those hard compounds, as has Palantir, interestingly enough. Might have expected him to stay out with those medium tires initially, but he has decided to come in with everybody else and come and go the Awakens on the medium, Chuck SRQ on a set of mediums, Voki on a set of hard compound tires as well. Sam Beam has a set of hard compounds on, and we'll see El Gloverino is on the mediums. And the Kel 89, we'll see what kind of tires he's opted for, mediums as well. So a mixture up and down the field of the medium and hard compound tires all the way through the field, with only about 11 laps left to go, 12 laps left to go in this race when the safety car comes in. But only waiting for the Kel to catch up to the back of the grid here, and he should be able to make his way through there. But as we continue under the safety car, your running order at the moment is Fast 6 driver, leading from MJ Povey, Racer 04, QX Nemesis, Quimulus, AWD Turbo Guy, Gallimums, Habs fan Nick, Palantir, and Awakens rounding out your top 10. And you have Chuck SRQ, Voki, Sam Beam, El Gloverino, and the Kel 89 rounding out the bottom 5. Alejandro Hayes and Standard, your only non-finishers so far in today's race. You see the amount of weaving being done, as we talked about in the formation laps, trying to get those tires up to temperature, and look for those on the medium compound tire to get a little bit better of a restart and a launch, not have to be quite so timid on the exit of the bus stop chicane the first time up Eau Rouge and Radion compared to the hard tire runners who may even have to do a little bit of a lift coming through Eau Rouge in order to keep that back end from coming unstuck coming up the hill. So definitely sketchy until you get full temperature into those tires, and the long straights, the slow lap times that you're doing here on those tires really going to make it tough to generate those temperatures that you need. Now, there it is. Safety car is in this lap as you see those lights turn out on that AMG Mercedes, and it streaks away to get to the pit lane. So now we're going to wait for Fast 6 driver to bunch the field back up and get ready to become the de facto safety car and lead the grid onto the restart here. We'll see when he opts to it. He's going to have to wait for enough time for the safety car to get fully in the pits. Might be going a little bit too quick at this point, and he's going to have to wait until the start. But having the bus stop chicane available to him right there is going to be a good opportunity for him to get his car squared up before he decides to jump on the throttle and forcing the other cars to kind of get on throttle in an awkward position. But it looks like Fast 6 has put the foot down for a moment and is carrying some good speed through the bus stop chicane there, with MJ Povey trailing him. Has a little bit of a wiggle coming out of there, but now across the start-finish line, and the track is green once again, and we are back to racing. Lap 10 of 22, and MJ Povey all over the back of Fast 6 driver. Racer 04 has dropped off a fair bit from behind there, but QX Nemesis all over the back of him. So Nemesis getting a very good restart. We'll see if he's going to be able to make his way back up into P3, but just like the race start, MJ Povey inside that slipstreaming range with the no DRS. 3 laps to wait for that DRS to become enabled to get his MJ Povey has a look to the inside, but is not able to stick his nose up there So we'll wait for that DRS to become enabled once again. QX Nemesis still behind Racer 04 Kubilos. 1.4 seconds off of QX Nemesis so far. So has lost a fair bit of ground on the restart to the car he was chasing, but that's going to put AWD Turbo Guy and Golly Moons all over the back of Awakens, making his way past Habs fan Nick a little bit further down the order. But here is an interesting battle. QX Nemesis wanted to get by Racer 04 and get some clean air on the nose and try and chase back down with that lead pack. He kind of lost touch with them through the opening stint of the race, but we'll see if the tire strategy is going to allow him to close right back up to that group. Racer 04 got wide on the exit there, and he's gotten into the wall, and that is going to cost him several positions. Yellow flags. Quimulus goes through AWD Turbo Guy, and Golly moves. It looks like Racer 04 is back up to speed there, but he caught his rear tire outsources. Racer 04 cuts off AWD Turbo Guy. Turbo Guy, no room to go, has to back way out, and that's let Golly moves through. That's going to let Awakens come through as well, as AWD Turbo Guy tried to go around the outside of Racer 04 with that damage and just got squeezed on the outside of Blanchimont. No room for him to go, but now Awakens all over the gearbox of Golly moves. Still one more lap before that DRS is enabled, but Awakens gets a very good launch off of turn 1 there. We may have an opportunity, but Habsan Nick retiring from the session here. Looks like he's gotten into the wall on the exit turn 1, and another safety car has been called right as Awaken was setting up for that move on Golly Mooms there. Almost certainly would have had it done. That is Habsfan Nick on the exit of turn 1. Looks to have his car parked on the side there. We'll see if we can get a glimpse of it from Racer's perspective. And look at that, facing the wrong way. He's gotten into the wall on the exit, and unfortunate for him to be added to the list of retirements. But another safety car is out right before DRS was going to be re-enabled for this lead group. We'll see if that's made any changes to anybody's tire choices at this point. After the first pit stops, they'd be able to go to the end on their tire choice. This really has the opportunity to benefit the medium tire runners over the hard compound, because they're taking a lot less, they're going to take a few laps and take a lot less life out of those tires. Really, the difference between the mediums and the hards at that first pit stop phase was going to be how much life the mediums would have to stay performing better than the hards. But now those mediums are going to be able to save a little bit of extra life coming around the track here. So they get an extra couple of laps in their lifetime added on, and that's really going to help them out when they're battling with the cars on the hard compound, which is the slightly slower compound. As we wait for the field to get formed back, it looks like Racer 04 and Sam Beam are both taking a trip into the pit lane. Obviously, Racer 04 getting that damage repaired from his spin on the beginning of Sector 3 there that got him into the wall. Looks like Sam Beam may have picked up some damage as well, as he's dropped well off the back of the field. But those safety cars coming out well for Racer 04, who had to pit for that damage. And AWD Turbo Guy and Palantir into the pit lanes there. So AWD Turbo Guy, who stayed out on that initial set of medium tires there. Palantir, it looks like his pit crew is bringing out a set of softs, so it looks like he's going to try and push a set of soft compounds, get himself onto the strategy he had originally picked. It was interesting for him to go onto the hards in that first pit phase, and it does indeed look like Palantir's got that red-walled soft tire on. El Glavarino also opting for a stop in the pit lanes as well. We will see if he has gone on to an alternate set of tires as well, with only 10 laps left to go in this one, and it will be slightly less by the time we go green flag racing once again. The soft tires should have enough life to get to the end. It may not be optimal all the way to the end of the race, but it will have some very, very good pace in the opening of its stint, so we will see what they can do. How much ground Palantir, who has dropped himself outside of the points, outside the top 10, he had a tire that would get him all the way to the end. We'll see what he's able to do on the restart here. He's got cars with slower tires in front of him, mediums and hards up and down the field. Really only has to clear AWD Turbo Guy, and then he's got a significant tire advantage the rest of the way through this race. So we'll see. Look for him to be very, very racy on the restart. It looks like the field has not yet bunched fully back up. We've still got El Glavarino and Sam Beam looking to close up to the tail of the grid here. And it looks like we will likely have the safety car out for one more further lap. But just past the halfway point of this race here, Fast 6 drivers still leading from followed by MJ Pogi and QX Nemesis, all having held their starting positions. Cumulus has made his way past Gallions. Awakens has dropped down a little bit. Voki, Chuck SRQ, the Kel 89, and even the Turtle Guy, both in the points now this phase. Palantir in P11, Racer 04 in P12, El Gloverino and Sam Beam bringing up the final two running position. And in retirement today, Habs fan Nick, Alejandro Hayes, and Stanya 10. And as we have a little bit of a pause with the safety car still coming out, obviously we do kind of post commentaries on the Xbox Division race here, as we don't have a live commentary crew, but check out the Twitch channel, our F1 Racing League, as we have the live streams for our PC divisions, all 1, 2, and 3 on Saturdays and Sundays. So keep an eye out for those and join that community and check those guys out. Also, if you're looking to drive in this league, we are always taking applications of people and slotting them in. We are getting towards the tail end of this season, but if you go to the subreddit, our F1 Racing League, you can hit the sign up and time trials threads there. They'll help us get you placed in, but check those out. We're always looking to take on new drivers. We have running 3 PC divisions, 1 big combined Xbox division, and 1 PS4 division. So on multiple platforms, multiple division levels that will, as the leagues continue to expand, we slot you based on the pace, so you'll have some good racing all throughout and pretty full grids for the most part. Should have only about a couple of weeks of break between Season 2 and Season 3. We'll be staying obviously on the F1 2020 game for Season 3, and that will likely start up just after the New Year's comes through, so get signed up for there. And there's also some set of Corsa gameplay going on as well through the community. Join up. Lots of fun to be a part of that community. A lot of F1 discussion and just a good solid community that's getting built, and we just started at the kind of the beginning of the pandemic when real life F1 was canceled as they had just gotten to Australia. We set up the initial opening season of our racing league, and has grown quite nicely so far. Over 100 drivers taking part across the divisions and always welcoming more. It looks like as the safety car leads in, the field is fully bunched up at this stage. So we'll look for him to switch those lights off and get us back to green flag racing again. Awakens, though, is retired from the session. Looks like he has gotten off the track there, and he will join the retirements. We'll see if that keeps the safety car out or if they'll be able to extract him from his position there. The safety car is in this lap. And Fast 6 driver still holding that fastest lap of the race, that important point. Now back to backing the field up with that Williams of MJ Povey behind him, the Alpha Tauri of QX Nemesis, and the other Williams of Quimbulus all in a line behind. So we'll see Fast 6 is able to get a gap built before the DRS is re-enabled. We'll see what kind of moves the soft tire runners of AWD Turtle Guy, Palantir, and El Gloverino are going to make in the closing stages of this race. Only 9 laps left to go in this one. The safety cars have taken out a good chunk of laps and has saved some life. As Fast 6 driver puts the hammer down, it is now starting to streak away at the front. Come through the final chicane there, as you have to wait to cross the start-finish line to make any overtakes, and now the track is green flag once again. We are back to green flag racing. Chuck SRQ looks like he's lost it coming through the bus stop chicane, dropped to the back of the field there. Got a little bit over-eager on the throttle, and that has cost him several positions all the way to the back of the line. Gallions getting a very good launch on the restart there, only 0.3 of a second behind Quimbulus, who's tiptoeing his way on those hard compound tires up a Rouge and Radion road. Looks like they are battling it out, and now we have QX Nemesis having a look on MJ Povey for P2 in the race, looking to the outside, Povey defending to the inside, and Nemesis having to back out, unable to have that extra bit of grip. There is a front wing end plate missing on QX Nemesis. We didn't see where that damage occurred. Must have happened under the safety car conditions there, but he has got some damage that he's looking to deal with at this stage. It looks like Mikel and Chuck have gotten tangled up together. They have dropped back to the back of the field. Both of those cars still running though, so no VSCs or safety cars, but now Quimbulus looking to try and find a way past that damaged Alpha Tauri of QX Nemesis in front, and that's really put Gallions right on the tail and got deep into the chicane there. He's on that faster medium compounded tire. So we'll see what he's able to do running through. Sandbeam looks to have gotten around through Pouon there, so he is getting back restarted. Looks like drivers are fighting with the tires not being fully up to temperature as they're slipping and sliding around, but the fight for those final positions on the podium really coming together as Quimulus all over the tail of Nemesis, but very hotly contested by Gallimoons and Voki right there behind. Palantir up into P7 now, has gotten a really good restart there, cleared A to B turbo back, and now only has 2.5 seconds to close back up to Voki ahead. On the same tire compound, Quimulus looking to make his way past QX Nemesis. Knows he's got that damage on that front wing, I'm sure, as he's had to check up through some of those high-speed corners. And not carrying speed, Chuck SRQ is into the pit lane, must have taken some damage on one of his spins or his coming together with the Kel 89 there. But QX Nemesis just moving on and offline to break the slipstream a little bit for Quimulus, who doesn't seem to quite have the same straight line speed that QX Nemesis does, and has lost a bit of ground on the straight. So we'll see as DRS gets enabled next time around if that makes a difference. But out in the front, Fast 6 driver has opened up a 1.3 second gap to MJ Povey, so he's gotten clear of the DRS range for him, but he is also now opening up a bit of a gap to Voki behind and Gallimoons, so they are just fighting right at there. QX Nemesis picks up another 3-second time penalty. So now Quimulus just needs to stay tight. QX Nemesis will have to move out of the way essentially at the end of the race when that 3-second penalty gets applied, but Quimulus, I'm sure, wants to make his way past and start building the gap to Gallimoons behind him. On those conserved medium compounded tires, so Gali will have very good pace to the end of the session. You can see Palantir has already closed up nearly 1 second now behind Voki in front of him on that set of soft compound tires, really turning in blistering lap times to close up, but not quite close enough to be taking fastest laps away just yet. Fast 6 driver setting just now a new fastest lap of the race. Quimulus has dropped outside of 1 second from QX Nemesis, and QX Nemesis maybe took a couple of laps to adjust to the new feeling of the car, of having that little bit of less front wing downforce, but has really opened his pace right back up, and is now starting to gap Quimulus in the rooms there. And Quimulus might be seeing this podium kind of slipping away from him at this stage, especially with Gallimoons now within a second behind him. But Palantir now only a half second back of Voki, really showing what that soft compound is capable of at this stage of the race. That fuel load lightning can really turn in some good laps. Another thing to keep an eye out for is with the multiple safety cars that we've had, a lot of drivers have been able to save a lot of that extra fuel, so plenty of opportunity to run that much more powerful, rich mixture down the straights and not worry about running out of fuel towards the end of the race, as it would have been if it had stayed green flags the whole way through. Gallimoons just hovering right on that 1 second mark behind Quimulus. And he's got the company of Voki and Palantir all behind, very, very tightly grouped. We'll see what the Mercedes can do in working his way through the field to try and start chasing down Quimulus and QX Nemesis at this point for a podium. For AW Never Guys, sitting now P8 in the race, has had only 2 points so far in this current season, and is in a position to grab another 4 points. But Palantir gets into the back of Voki and has gotten him loose. A little side-to-side contact as Voki's trying to save the car, and Palantir maybe just chose the wrong direction to try and make that move, carrying a little too much apex speed on that soft compound. We're not expecting how much Voki had to slow to make those hard compounds grip up through that cornering. A little bit of contact, but it looks like no damage done, but it has cost Voki a fair bit of time to Gallimoons ahead, has lost that DRS assistance there. We're switching to the onboard as the main TV stream has run out and had some saving issues, so we'll only have up to lap 7 an hour on board for the rest of the way. Voki a little bit of loose coming through a luge and a rally on him now. With that rich mix turned on the Palantir with the DRS, you see just breezing by. Not really much Voki to defend from that one. Now Palantir looking ahead to try and catch up with Golly Moons. Choice from Palantir to make a stop. Blue yellow flags behind as it looks like AWD Turbo Guy has gone around on the exit of Bruxelles there, and that has dropped him down outside of P9. Might even have dropped out of the points and so in probably one of his better running positions of the season. Had a little bit of an incident, and that's going to cost him a very big points at least at this stage.
Second,
of the
they're
race.
on old hards. Their tyres are 8 laps old. The time last lap was at 1:46.6. You're gaining by 1/10 a lap. They have a time penalty of 0.03 seconds will be added to their time at the end of the race.
Checking with QX Nemesis's penalty situation. Sometimes it's easy to mix up the Williams cars and jump on, but you heard from Jeff, 12 seconds of penalties for QX Nemesis as Kudos is
There's 5 laps of fuel remaining.
Inside of that 1 second mark, so Kudos really only having to worry about the car behind him of Golly Moons and Palantir as they come to the tail end of this session to stay clean and not lose any time on penalties there. Gunning for the podium positions. MJ Povey, though, right now holding the fastest
lap. The gap behind us is 1.8 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 9 laps old. The time last lap was a 1 minute.
Critical towards the tail end. Here comes Palantir on Golly Moons coming down into the coach. Side-to-side contact. Golly doing well to save the cars. The back end left and right. Wheel-to-wheel contact by Palantir, getting a little bit aggressive on the apex there, trying to make the move around the outside into Lake Home. And that contact got Golly all unsettled, and that has put him.
There's 5 laps of fuel remaining.
So after a battle and trying to chase down Kudos for that podium spot, has been bumped down 2 positions, but was very lucky to save the car and keep it facing the right direction. Very good throttle and steering control to keep that one going. Now we are on board with MJ Povey, who is within 1 second of Fast 6 driver ahead of him. Set 2 green sectors while already carrying that fastest lap. Might be able to move that fastest lap a little bit further up the road there, make it a little bit tougher as they flick through Blanchimont there at that flat out left there. The clouds are moving in and dropping the track temperatures a fair bit, so that is going to play to the benefit of the medium compound runners who can work those tires a little bit more, keep the temperature in them better. The hard tires that already struggled to keep temperature up might have issues keeping that temperature up as the track gets colder and colder, but MJ Povey now within a half a second coming down the hill. We'll have DRS now as Genesis pulls into the pit lane and retires, and that's move Kudos up into E3, who's got about 2 seconds to Palantir behind him. Here's MJ Povey with the DRS, with the slipstream, looking for which direction he's going to go around the outside. He's a late road chicane there, and Fast 6 driver just doesn't quite have the overspeed to hold him off. Running fairly low on that battery too, and inside the bottom 10% of his battery. So he's going to try and make an attack back and regain that position. He might have to save some battery for a lap or two before making a very strong attack to fight that position back. And now, with the championship standing, MJ Povey out ahead with that fastest lap as well. So Povey looking to try and gap to that 1-second mark so that Fast 6 isn't able to fight back, but with only 3 laps left to go in this one. They're on lap 19 of 22.
Abbiamo carburante a sufficienza per altri 5 giri.
May have been picking up a track limits penalty there that might cost him the race at the tail end unless he's able to open up a 3-second gap. See Fast 6 driver using so much of that electrical energy to just try and keep up with MJ Povey. Really managing that battery at the late stage of this race to this point. You can see though on that fuel mix though, he's got an extra nearly 2 laps worth of fuel. So running out of gas isn't going to be the problem. It's going to be all about that extra 160 horsepower that the electrical system provides to MJ Povey, improving first strike into the 44s on lap time, 144.9. Adding to that fastest lap point at this stage here.
Guadagni 1 secondo a giro sul pilota che ci segue.
See how much the fastest lap is struggling managing that battery just to keep up with MJ Poggi. He's going to have that DRS to help him. MJ Poggi just a little bit further up the road. You can see that battery running completely out. He's not getting any more boost from it at this stage. You can see just kind of peaking out as they head into the braking zone there. Looking down the field, we've got Prix now just about a second and a half ahead of Palantir with only a couple of laps left to go. So Palantir still showing very good pace on that set of soft compound tires. Might be a situation where he can chase down.
Le condizioni delle gomme sono buone, non preoccuparti.
We will see if those soft tires are going to be able to last here. Really, the most important battle is this one here on screen. The one for the win of the race and for the top spot in the championship. There's quite the battle going on between these two drivers who have essentially been trading wins all season. The only car other than them to win was Prix, who has moved over to the PC division, and he took that win in the USA, I believe it is. And so that is going to has not allowed anybody else to take the top step of the podium aside from these two. We've had plenty of other podium positions here. The Fast 6 driver and MJ Poggi, the class of the field so far in this season, leading the rest of the field in the championship points by quite some margin. MJ Poggi, though, not able to open up a 1 second gap yet, so he's still giving Fast 6 driver that DRS help. Though it looks like MJ Poggi managing his battery quite a bit better. He's still got 25% of that electrical energy as they start that, as you see Fast 6 driver running down below 10% for a large portion of this final stint. So for MJ Poggi, it's going to be important to just try and continue to push his gap, try and get outside of that 1 second. There's only 2 laps left to go in this one. Might be a situation where if he's carrying a penalty, he's going to lose out on this race. You see Fast 6 drivers still managing to hang with MJ Poggi, just not quite having the extra little bit of
Abbiamo carburante a sufficienza per altri 3 giri.
It looks like Palantir has fallen back to 2 seconds behind Prix, so it looks like he is losing pace in that set of soft compounded tires, and Prix just has to manage that car, keep it on track in order to not allow that group to go ahead and not pick up an extra penalty that might cost him his podium. Looks like it's still Loki and Galloon's running right behind Palantir. They're still fairly closely grouped. Those 3 drivers are. We'll see how they do. So get ready to start the final lap of the race here. Fast 6 driver really pushing, trying to keep on the gearbox of MJ Poggi. See him using that overtake button, trying to get that extra little bit of straight line speed that goes up. You can see how low that battery is running. Really costs a ton of battery power in order to run down the Kendall Straight with that thing turned on. So it may be that in this last opportunity he has down the Kendall Straight, he may not have enough battery to make a pass stick if Loki is carrying some extra battery.
Sei all'ultimo giro.
Starting of the final lap, MJ Poggi leads from Fast 6 by a half a second with Prix and P3. Palantir still about 2 seconds off the podium there in P4 on that set of soft compound. You can see coming down the hill to the lead Radion. There's just not much battery left in Fast 6's car. You see him hitting that overtake button, using that DRS, and he's about to run out of battery power. So MJ Poggi now using that battery power. Fast 6 pulling to the outside, side by side in the braking zone, but MJ Poggi defends to the inside. Maybe a little bit of contact between the two, but that little bit of battery power that Fast 6 is missing out on might have cost him his chance at taking the race win on track here. Set a green first sector, very quick through that first sector, but doesn't look like he's going to be able to make any more overtakes on podium unless he has a tremendous launch through that final sector and makes that move into the bus stop chicane. It's going to be very tough for him to close back up and take this race win, take the checkered flag from MJ Poggi to start the racing. But see the back end getting a little bit loose on him through the chicane, having to make some very quick steering adjustments. And that might be a situation that has cost him his ground. Here comes MJ Poggi coming down the back street. Balasan still has plenty of battery left to defend with there. He's going to check with with Jeff there and see if he's got any kind of penalties behind, although it looks like he's feeding it Jeff just through his headset, so we aren't going to be able to hear it from his recorded angle there. Sounds like So he comes through the checkered flag there, crosses the start-finish line. P1 with the fastest out there, but Fast 6 driver jumps him on the penalty differential. Now here comes Quimulus, a little bit of oversteer on the exit of the bus stop chicane. Crossing the line, P3, Valente behind, carrying 6 seconds of penalties, drops behind. Drops down behind us. Golly Moons jumps up into P4, so we've got Valente and Voka P5 and 6. El Riverino crossing the start finish line. Now P7 on those soft compounds, yellow tire indicator saying he's got some more tires. Racer Elf 04 now on his set of hard compounds, drifting with Lake Cornelius on his hard through that final corner, across the line. It is P8 overall. Now we got Kel 89 coming through the bus stop chicane, and he is going very sideways. A lot of drivers struggling with the rear coming through. He crosses P9 and grabs himself 2 points to contribute to his team setup there. And AWD Turbo Guy on that set of soft tires, after running an 8, still manages to pick up a point there. So grabs another point at the tail end of the session. Sam Bean crosses the line in P11. Chuck SRQ. Now it looks like he jumped up to P11 as he crossed the line. The last car running, but has moved up on penalties there. The Kill 89 picking up the unofficial driver of the day as distributed by the game by gaining a bunch of positions from his qualifying position and still being one of the last cars running there. And there it is, Fast 6 driver on the top step of the podium. Williams taking their second double podium of the season. Their first since Monza, which was the last time Prix was on the podium as well. And that's going to give Fast 6 driver a little bit of extra daylight in this championship. So now the standings at the end of the race for this championship order, we have Fast 6 driver out in front by 13 points now from MJ Povey. Golly Mooms is 56 points back of MJ Povey, or of the lead, of 43 points back of MJ Povey. Quimulus has closed the gap to 21 points from Golly Mooms there on 91 points. Voki P5, 16 points now back. Palantir is in P6. Racer 04, Onslaught, Chuck SRQ, MD the First, and Habs fan Nick all hold their same positions. But the big gainer, El Gloverino, jumping up 4 positions up into P12 as he's now on 14 points, tied with the Kel 89. QX Nemesis, Awakens, and Alejandro Hayes all drop a spot. Stanier and AWD Turbo Guy picking up some points of their own. Sam Beam, it's Baker rounding out, still have yet to score in this season. But thank you guys for joining us once again. The Xbox division and all divisions will be heading towards Suzuka, Japan this weekend for the second to last round for most leagues, but the third to last round as Xbox has slotted in that extra race to make up for Australia. So we'll see how everybody does joining us at Suzuka. But thank you guys for watching once again. Check out the streams when they come around. Check out the YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and we can continue to put these out. It's really fun creating all of these races for you guys and having the best, I'd say, live F1 Racing League presentations out there. But if you're looking to join the realm of the drivers, check out our F1 Racing League, and you can sign up there as we will be taking on new drivers, filling slots, and have a new season coming up in just about a month or two. But I'll catch you guys next time. I'll have a good one.